Greetings. This is Positivologist Lynette Turner, and welcome to the Positivologist is in the house. Come on in, sit in your most comfortable chair, put your feet up, grab a refreshing beverage, and just take a deep breath and relax. This is a show that focuses on living our lives from a positive perspective, and I am thrilled to have amazing guests that help us do just that. And I'm going to introduce you to Nadia in just a moment. If you want to connect with me after the show, check me out at www.positivebliss.com. Now, I want you to put on your positive eyeglasses. And remember that each and every day when you wake up, you have the opportunity to decide whether you're going to live your life with a positive energy or a negative energy. And it can be a bit challenging because there's lots of negativity around us. But you get to choose every day what path you're going to walk down. And I strongly suggest you walk to the light at the end of the tunnel, walk down the path of positivity. It's good, literally good for your health. So you're going to feel better. You're going to attract like-minded people. You're going to feel more focused and able to accomplish what you want in life. And who doesn't want to do that? So our guest tonight is, I would say, an expert on doing that. And she's going to talk to us about how we can achieve our dreams at any age. There's nothing that should get in our way, even negative people around us. She's going to share some tips with us. She's going to share some challenges that she overcame. And I think we're going to learn a lot from that. We're going to truly, truly be inspired. So I want to take a moment now and welcome Nadia Giordano to the show. Welcome, Nadia.
Hello, I'm happy to be here today.
It's lovely to see you, your radiant face, and I'm so excited for the conversation that we're going to have this evening. So I want to start, Nadia, by actually turning it over to you and having you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. What should we know about Nadia? What inspires you? What inspires you to get up every day and live your best life? Well, and don't be shy about your wonderfulness.
Okay. You know, Lynette, you and I are an awful lot alike in the respect that one of the things that gets me excited and gets me up and out of bed in the morning is to shine a light on fantastic women like you and like a lot of the other women that are out there. For me especially, it's for women usually over 50 who have made major changes in their life, overcome obstacles, or are making a difference in other people's lives. And I like to shine a light on those women. I took kind of a roundabout path to get to this point, which we've talked about before and I've talked about in my books. But that's what gets me up in the mornings is working with all of the women that I meet along the way. And it's a little bit different for me to be on this side of the interview for a change.
Yes, because you have your own TV show. Radio show. Yes, yes. Well, very delightful. So before we go any further, I would like you to tell the viewers the name of your books and also your website or how they can connect or reach you if they would like to do so after the show.
Well, my website is wherewomentalk.com. My books, Thinking Skinny is the first book that I wrote. And Reinventing New Chapters in Your Life at Any Age is the second book. And that almost came out of writing the first book, Thinking Skinny, after a major event in my life of losing 88 pounds and reinventing my life within that framework. I got to a point where I realized it's not about weight loss. It's about reinventing your life no matter what that challenge is. And in my case, being over 60 and doing that. So that's why the second book had to be written, because it had to encompass the first story and bring in some other things that I needed to talk about.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I appreciate that you're talking about age. You know, as we get older, I'm 56, 57. I don't think in terms of age. I always have to stop and think.
Oh my gosh, you don't look that.
I know. Nobody, I always say, well, maybe I'll start to feel old if people start guessing my age, but no one ever guesses my age. But actually, I'm going to be 58 this month.
You could say you were in your late 30s and I would have believed it.
Yeah, well, thank you. I always joke and say it's because of my boring lifestyle, but I think a lot of it, quite frankly, has to do with my attitude. I just have a young attitude, and I try to live, as you're talking about, just going out and, you know, a lot of times, Nadia, it seems like people think, oh, now I'm 40, so I can't go out dancing. Oh, I'm 50, so I can't have an orange streak in my hair. You know, And
I
that's
remember
just,
thinking like that.
yeah, and so we don't want to do that. We want to live as fully and as happily as we can, and as if they say, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so make the most of today.
Yes, yes.
So I would love you to talk to us. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment to lose 88 pounds. You keep
Mhm.
people having a hard time losing 5 pounds. The thought of losing nearly 100 pounds is just amazing. So can you talk about what happened for you? Something must have, a dial had to turn, or something had to happen for you to say, this is something I can do, I want to do, and then I can figure out a way to do it. How did you do that? And congratulations.
Thank you. And first, let me say, interestingly enough, losing 5 pounds, 10 pounds, up to 30 pounds is every bit as hard as losing more. So anyone out there listening who's got a lot to lose and thinks it's a lot harder, it isn't. It's essentially the same difference. You just do it for a little bit longer period of time. But what happened for me, I was slim and until I was into my mid 40s, and probably job stress, things like that happened. Being maybe hormonal changes at that point in life. And then over a period of 15 years, I just gradually gained and gained and gained and gained until one day I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gone. Someone else is staring out the mirror at me. But I kept that weight there for a long time because I was in a stressful job, and you almost can't focus on a weight loss or any kind of major change when you're just struggling to stay alive in that position or whatever it might be. Maybe it's just because you're busy or whatever reasons. But that job then suddenly ended. There was corporate cutbacks, and I lost that job. I had intended to retire from that job. I was 59, and I fully expect, maybe I was 58, but close to 60, and fully intended to finish out my working career in that job. So it was a major shock, and I didn't do much right away. Essentially, I sat on my couch and felt sorry for myself for a year. That's exactly what
Yeah,
I did.
yeah, that
It's,
happens.
I felt unhireable. I felt certainly didn't have energy and all of the things that it would take to go out there and look for other work. I did not go out and look for other work. And then finally one day, really it's like a slap in the face. You wake up and you say, enough is enough. I have to do something about this. And I used prayer, which worked for me. And I remember the day, August 4th, 2007. And I began that day. I knew it was just a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And that may be a
Right.
cliche, but it is so true. And I started that day and I never looked back. And I used to be, back in the 70s, what they called a health nut. So I knew what to do. I knew
Right.
what to get back to change my eating habits. I also knew that it had to be a lifestyle change, not a diet. That's why I didn't join any commercial diets. I read a few to see if there was any mysterious magic bullets out
Right.
there, but really it took me right back to I already know what I need to do.
Right.
I have to eat less. I have to eventually get back to exercising. I had an injury on a leg, so I lost the first 60 pounds without exercise.
Wow.
So that and see, when you have more weight like that, it will come off if you simply cut back. And
Right.
I
Right.
say simply, and it's not as simple as that,
Right.
but that is exactly what I did. And then as soon as the weight was down, then I added exercise because you need to do that to get
Right.
healthier, to feel better, and then to take, the last few pounds off. So it was quite the journey. And
Wow, that's really amazing. Congratulations. I know I find
thank you.
as I get older, I have to sometimes exercise more to get the same results I used to get when
Yeah,
I was 20.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
how come I do these 100 sit-ups, but I have to do 200 to get the same results,
Yes, yeah, it's true, but it's worth it.
It's
Oh, I have a
definitely
picture
worth
for
it.
you.
Oh, good.
Let's see. Now here's one. Let's see if I can see this. That's
Oh, Nadia. Wow,
that. Now
that's
that
just
was particularly, that was Mother's Day, the heavy picture on the side,
Yeah.
and then the other picture, of course, as I lost weight, I decided to let my hair grow and go blonde for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
And that felt
Wow.
kind of cool. And then I
Good for
have,
you. You really show us that
no,
oh, look at that. That's
no.
just
That's
wow.
the difference
Yeah.
that can make.
Right. And of course the look you look different, but I'm sure you just had to have so much more energy and
Yeah,
enthusiasm for
yeah,
life and
yeah,
I think, you're just such a reminder of what we can do. And
yeah,
that if we
yeah.
fall down, get back up and
That's
try again
important.
and beat
Yeah.
ourselves up because I think sometimes we're so hard on ourselves
Well,
that
and we do fall back, and it doesn't matter whether it's weight loss or some other project or
right.
some other thing that we're doing. We do backslide, we fall back, and we do have to just go right back at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have some other kind of support system? I know you didn't.
Really? No. Well, yes. I had prayer and I had God. I had that
Yeah.
support system.
That's
But, as far as groups or clubs or a friend or a buddy, I did kind of share with a niece of a buddy a little bit, but it wasn't a lot of that. I really did feel like I was in it alone, but I'm basically an introvert anyway. That wasn't a bad thing for me because it allowed me to completely focus on what I needed to get done. So I didn't consider that much of a bad. My husband was supportive, so
yeah.
as I start talking, I see there was some support there.
Yeah, but you're right. I think everybody's sort of different the way they need to do it. Now, I know
Yeah.
for some people, for instance, to exercise, they get up and they go to the gym. For me, I'm like, I can I can do it in my living room. To me, it's hard. It's more work to get up, get dressed, get in my car, drive someplace.
Go to the gym,
Body,
especially if it's 20 below out.
I can just do,
Yeah.
I used to dance. I'm a dancer. I just do it myself. So everybody, I think, has to find their own
Yeah.
own
I
way.
have a treadmill here and a bicycle and different
Yeah,
things that
all
I
that good
use
stuff.
for in the wintertime. In the
So-
summer, I go outdoors.
So, Nadia, have you had any trouble keeping the weight off, or you've been successful in keeping it off?
It does push back once in a while. In other words, it's not a lot because, and it's been, what is it, 8 years now? It's been 8 years. Not a lot because I accepted the idea that it had to be a lifestyle change, and I had to make that lifestyle change one that I liked.
Yeah.
So not a lot. But if I go on vacation once in a while, if I have a particularly busy time where I'm going out to eat a lot, it'll start to push back on me a little. But that's when I remember I actually go back to the Thinking Skinny book and read a couple of chapters and remind myself where I was, what I did. I do the visualizations that I used to do. For the first year, I did the visualizations a lot because it took me 14 months to lose the weight. And I'll go through the visualizations with you in a little bit. But
Yeah, please.
I go back and I do that. So I push right back, and then I'm back into the groove again. So
Right.
not a lot as long as it remains a lifestyle change.
And I think that's the key thing: lifestyle versus diet. So for me, I
Yeah.
have to eat right and I have to exercise. That's what, if I
Yeah.
try to do any kind of diet, it just
Yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't.
No, and it has to be a priority. I mean, the things will crop up from time to time, and there'll be days when you don't get to exercise, but then you always remember it's a priority. So the
Right.
first free day, you're right back at it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and it stays up there.
I just got this thing called a Fitbit. Have you heard of this Fitbit thing?
I don't have one yet.
I just got it last week because everyone was talking about it, and I said, well, maybe this will help keep me inspired, and it really does. So for the
Everybody
viewers,
raves.
this Fitbit thing is awesome. So you wear it; it looks like a watch band, but
Yep.
it tells you, in addition to what time it is, how many steps you walk in a 24-hour period, how many miles you've walked, how many calories you've burned, how many flights of steps you've gone up, and you stick it to your iPhone, and it tells you about your sleep patterns, which is because I don't get enough sleep, and so
No, I don't
you
either.
say I'm going to sleep, and then somehow it knows how long you're sleeping, and you wake up, and it'll say 5 hours, 6 hours, so I show
For
you
that alone.
So I love it because I just want to get the steps in, and I don't always remember. And when it's on and then when you hit your goal, it vibrates, and so it's like, congratulations, you walked your 10,000 steps. So I guess everybody can find that little thing that can sort of help keep them inspired.
It's on my list.
You figured it out, so. So Nadia, I happen to know that you overcame a second tremendous challenge. Can you tell our viewers about that?
Yeah, and that, you know, after I lost the weight, I went to a Christmas party with a group of women, and I'm getting somewhere with that point, that I used to work with from that job that I lost. They hadn't seen me and this was 2.5, 3 years later. I went to a Christmas party, walked in the door, and people did not know who I was. Someone said, "Who's that?" You know, it was all women who had worked at the company before, and someone said, "That's Nadia." And that's Nadia. Well, one of the women then later on asked me to speak at a group of women that she belonged with and tell my story. And I said, I don't speak. I can't speak in front of crowds. I have a fear of speaking. And I stopped myself and said, wait a minute. If I could do this, maybe I could do that. It was 6 months away. Maybe I could. So I accepted that invitation and essentially started working on what I thought it would take to overcome this fear of speaking. And I got there. It was tougher than losing the weight.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, I've read that next to death, public speaking is something people are incredibly afraid of and fearful. And I think my background's theater, so I did a lot of theater, and so for me, I actually enjoy it. But I know a lot of people who are just pretty petrified. So do you have to get yourself in a certain? Well, and now, I mean, clearly you have no fear of public speaking because
it's still there.
Have even having your TV show.
Yeah, it's still there, but I always get the butterflies, but it is joined by an enjoyment of it, and it's nowhere near what it was in the past.
And I would guess once you start the conversation, you just kind of get in the zone. You know, it's just like us having a conversation. Before we go on the air, I have to do my little meditation and breathe and feel everything's gonna be fine. A little bit of but then when you start talking, it's just people talking to people, and it's perfectly fine. So that's two big things you overcame. That's really incredible. So Nadia, would you say that the steps are the same that people need to take, no matter what goal they're trying to achieve or what challenge they're trying to overcome? When you're reinventing yourself.
Yeah, I are, and I'm going to take a look here at, and there's the book.
Nadia, hold it up for a moment so people can see the lovely cover. So it looks like there's a lovely flower on the top.
That's my favorite flower, daisies. Well, daisies is one. It just is so fresh and fun and sunny. Yeah. And I do have 7 things, and the very first thing on my list is to reshape a healthier body and attitude. And for some people, that reshaping of a healthier body might just be eating better. Not everybody needs to lose weight in order to do that, but you do need to be in a healthy place physically and emotionally to get to where you can affect major changes in your life. And that is one thing. And people will find out that is different for everyone. And then realigning personal relationships. It's really difficult to make those changes in your life if there's stress and conflict going on around you. And I'd say that's one of the more difficult ones because you don't have as total a control over those things.
So, so if you have a rambunctious teenager, you're still kind of stuck with the teenager, right? So you have to adjust your attitude around the people who are not being as...
It's mostly do the best that you can.
Right.
And that may actually end up being a change of your own attitude with it, because a lot of times you just have to make sure that it doesn't distract you to a point where you can't also focus on yourself. And I think that fits into the old adage of the caregiver taking care of themselves.
Nadia, that's so hard. I mean, I just know personally that's so hard. We need to do it.
It's very hard.
But I get those of us who are service-oriented. So, for example, last year I became an ordained interfaith minister. And so part of what I like to do is be available to help people, to talk to people, to minister to people. And I love doing it, and I enjoy doing it, but between the day job and this show and my other positivity modalities, it's just, I often am. I'm kind of on the back burner, and I have to remind myself, go get a foot massage or sleep in for an
Yeah,
hour.
yes.
Take
Yeah.
care of yourself.
Well, and those are the things that help you bring your mind and attitude around, and first thing you know, then you're coming up with ideas of what to do new and different in your life, just when you do those things for
Right,
yourself.
right.
And then another one, redirecting your thought patterns. I guess that's what we were just talking about without even realizing it. You do have to redirect your thought patterns and think about if you do feel like you want something new and different in your life, and especially if you don't know what that is. That's when you're able to do that, just by taking care of yourself. I do it on long walks. Long walks work real well with me for coming up with interesting and new ideas, and figuring out what other new chapters I want to do in my life. And then number 4 on the list of 7 things is rediscovering the magic in your life. And if you can do that, then you're also ready to rediscover new chapters. If you think about remember when you were a kid and it's a summer day, you're outdoors, you have to be outdoors in order to have this feeling. You're a kid, you're outdoors, you look up at the sky. I remember doing this as a little child and thinking, I have my whole life ahead of me. I wonder what it's going to be. And I just get goosebumps even thinking about that. Well, no matter where we are on our life timeline, we still have our whole rest of our life ahead of us. And that alone is magical when you think about that. You still have all that unexperienced time left in your life. And that to bring about that feeling and that feeling of magic in your life, you can do some things like at my age, it's making mud pies with my grandkids. Brings about that childlike feeling of wonder and magic again. And that also is different with different people. So you bring that feeling, that magic back into your life. And
so I think, Nadia, it's people giving ourselves permission to do that, because I think we do get so caught up as we get older in whatever those responsibilities are, whether responsibilities of partners or kids or
yes,
a job. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, because when you said that, I was like, when's the last time I just stopped and thought about like a pleasant memory from when I was a child? Because we just don't do that. We see the kids doing it around us.
Yeah.
But you're right. Why don't we get down in the dirt and play in the garden with the children?
You're right, and it's the responsibilities that we focus on that kind of prevent us from doing it. Yeah.
And if we can also just move aside because so many people are still dealing with challenges, whether it's trying to find work, whether it's the economy, or the housing market in some areas still isn't very good. So how can we acknowledge that and deal with it? But just almost maybe sometimes give yourself playtime. Maybe it's just a couple hours on a Saturday where you're taking a walk like you talked about, or you're doing nothing. I mean, the gift of silence. Yeah. We always think that we're unproductive if we're not busy, always doing something. And just like taking that walk, just being in the quiet, being in the peace, there's really nothing else like it. And now if we do that enough, we can take that, be it called prayer, meditation, chanting, we can take that energy with us even when we're in the midst of all this crazy activity that's going on, outside of our 4 walls, if we give ourselves permission to nurture that.
Yeah.
So I think that's
absolutely
keenly important.
Yeah. And then there's one other that's important. There's a couple others, but one especially, removing lingering regrets in your life. And that's got to be the number one hardest thing of all, because regrets usually focus around something that you've done that you regret, something you didn't do that you regret not doing, and you can never go back and get that moment again. I get goosebumps again thinking about that. That's one of the toughest things, because you can't really get that back, and we live with these regrets. Well, there are 3 things that you can do to resolve that so that you can move forward with your life. Otherwise, you get really stuck when you're bogged down, tied down by the regrets. And first of all, cry about it. Express those feelings. That may be all you need to do. It's been laying there in the back of your mind. So talk about it with someone, cry about it, but express that regret. And that'll help a little bit.
You know why that seems really important is because I think quite often women were taught to be strong.
Yeah, and men even more so.
You know, yeah.
Men
and I guess
even
depending
more
on
so.
the individual circumstances,
Yeah.
you know, you're taught to be strong and keep your chin up, and it's weak if you cry, and you can't show emotion. But I think that you're absolutely right. We have to get it out.
Yeah, you have to get it out. And this other technique is going to sound like a funny one, because I tell people to rationalize. And that's
talk about that.
I know. It's in a good way, because everybody thinks of rationalizing as a negative, and it can be if you're avoiding the regret. But you've acknowledged the regret. You've expressed your feelings about the regret. Now think about it. Rationalize in this sense that think about it enough to recognize, was there anything good that came out of this situation, this regret? If there's something, no matter how remote, that you can pull in that actually came out of it as a good thing, then okay, hang on to that. You can't change what happened. So hang on to the good thing that did come out of it. And maybe that's more valuable than you realize. And the third part of it is then to accept it as it is, and let it go, let it be, accept it, and then you can move on.
I always think that there is something to learn from every experience, even if it was a hard experience.
Right.
And for me, if something great and wonderful comes to me, I think I drew that to myself. And then if something hard and challenging comes to me, I own that too. Somehow I drew that to myself. There's there's some lesson in it, or it wouldn't have come to me. And I think that helps keep me sane versus the why me? Why did this happen to me? Or sometimes you'll hear people, they just focus on the regrets, and they live their lives in the sort of negativity of the what ifs, right? Yeah. What if I would have moved to Wisconsin?
I'm such a horrible person.
Yeah, and so much. You're right. The power of our words. When I hear people say, "Oh, I'm such an idiot," "Oh, I'm so stupid," "Oh, I'll never get it right."
We talk to ourselves terribly.
I know. I so believe that it's all about energy, and so don't say that. You're going to draw more of this. If you keep telling yourself that you're never going to make it, I truly believe the universe is listening and trying to bring us what we're asking for. So we need to speak in a positive manner. And even I always tell people, even if you don't believe it right now, you will believe it. If you say it enough, you'll start to believe it. You'll start to feel it. You'll start to live it. You'll start to attract it, and that's what your life is going to be. But so that's probably one of my people say, "What's kind of drives you crazy?" I'm like, that's one of the things that drives me a little crazy. I'm like, please, keep that in mind, and don't live in the regrets. We live so much in the past, and sometimes a lot in the future, that we miss, what they say, the gift is in the present, times in the present. That we sometimes miss that because we're so wound up about things we can't control.
Yeah, absolutely. And and then the next thing you need to do is actually begin to plan and rewrite that new chapter in your life, and that's goal setting.
Yes.
That's really goal setting. There's who was it that said the begin with the end in mind, and you really do. You see that goal, and then you start taking those steps towards it. And I usually work in a three-tiered thing. You start taking some minimal steps in the beginning, and you work towards that goal, whatever those steps might be. For the fear of speaking, I started by, I think the first speaking thing that I did was just a little 5-minute thing. And to me it seemed like an hour, but I did that 5 minutes in front of a group of people. And it was like, whoa, yay, this is really baby steps. I took that, and that was a reach for me. And you go to tier 2, is really simply a matter of expanding on your first set of goals. There's usually more than just one thing that you would do, but expand on those things and take a little bit bigger steps, and you're still moving towards that goal, as long as you can see yourself moving towards that goal. And it might be 3 months, it might be 3 years that it's going to take you. If you're starting a business, it could take a lot longer time, and those steps are going to be different. And then you get close to your goal, and this is what sometimes people will do. They're nearly there. Oh, I never thought I could get this far. Whew, this is great. I'm happy. And I say, don't stop there. Make another goal. Take that goal just a little bit farther. Make that final goal a showstopper. And here's a quote. Where do I have it? Over here. It's on my wall. It was by Bob Proctor. And he's,
yes,
you know who he is.
Every day in my inbox.
Yeah. Is the most amazing thing he ever said, that I say to myself nearly every day, is set a goal to achieve something so big, so exhilarating, that it excites you and scares you at the same time.
Oh.
It must be a goal so in line with your spiritual core that you can't get it out of your mind.
Right.
That's the kind of goal, your third tier goal, that you need to set. And that's what took me from losing 50 pounds to losing 88 pounds. That's what took me from doing a radio, that one of the first things that I did for speaking, a little radio show that I did, to a TV show. It was that. It excites you and scares you at the same time, but you can't get it out of your mind.
So that's wonderful, particularly if people know what it is they want to do. Have you encountered people who are just, I've encountered people who, they're just not happy. They don't even know what they want to do. They don't even know what their passion is. Is there advice that you've given to those type of people, those type of women?
And that's all part of getting healthier, soothing your relationships, taking care of your regrets, finding some alone time with yourself.
Yes.
Meditation, prayer, whatever you use to get to that inner self, because you're out of touch with yourself. If you know you want something and you don't know what that is, you're out of touch with yourself, and you need to bring all those things together to get in touch with yourself.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it'll just be there. You'll know what you want, or what could happen is you'll think you know what you want. It is something, but it's only the first 1 or 2 tiers. It's not your showstopper yet. That hasn't been revealed to you. That's going to come around a corner once you've taken some steps in that direction.
Right. So are you an advocate? Are you one of the people that thinks with goals you need to write them down? You often hear people say, you've got to put it to paper. There's something about doing that helps make it real or helps keep you focused. What's your thought about that?
Absolutely. Write them down. And some people will write them down and just put them aside and look at them later, and they work towards it in a different way. And I've done that, and it works. But I literally will look at my goals regularly, reinforce them in my head. I do a lot of visualization where I see that end in mind. And when I was losing weight, for the first full year, every night when I went to bed, I laid on my back in bed, put my hands on my stomach area, because that's where, through my middle, is where I carried a lot of the weight. I would put my hands there, and I would visualize droplets of water on a hot stove. You know how they hit that hot stove and and they just explode and evaporate? I was visualizing fat cells in my body doing that. And I went from 1 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 to 10 million to billions, however many are there. And I visualized them doing that. And I would do that for about 20 minutes every night. And I did that for the first year. And I could literally feel it working after the first couple of weeks.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I was going to say, if your goal is business-wise, then you just visualize that business and how you expect to see that business and running, or whatever other.
Right. Yeah, that's good advice. It's so good advice. Even if it's something you know, it's wonderful to hear it and just be reminded of it, and then you kind of
Yeah.
around really having that kind of focus. One of the things I did was I wrote a mission statement for my life, because businesses, corporations have them. Why don't we have them for ourselves? And usually when I work with groups of people, one of the things I ask them is, do you have a mission statement for your life? I'm like,
what is your mission statement?
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. And,
I know, I hate it when people ask me to.
And of course, on the spot, I won't remember, but I can remember.
You remember the gist of it anyway.
Yeah. Well, the gist of it is to be of service to other people, to live my life with an open mind and open heart and with integrity.
Yeah.
And to follow my bliss.
Yeah.
Follow my bliss, even if it seems unreachable or hard to do or hard to get there. That's what I want to do. So on a regular basis, I say that. My ministry vows, I say that. And to me, it is prayer, it's meditation, it's focused on. I'm a combination of extrovert and introvert. I'm mostly an extrovert, and again, I think that's because of theater background, and I was the oldest of 5 kids, so I had to entertain my siblings to keep them in order when I was babysitting them. But I have to have the quiet time, and I try to do that in the morning. I have a gratitude journal in the morning, do my meditation in the morning to get that focus. And it's interesting what you say about visualization, because I will visualize the day. It hasn't happened yet, but I'll say, oh my gosh, it was an amazing day. The traffic it was fine getting to work. There wasn't any traffic, and I got worked on this project at work, and it went very well, and I had this great conversation with my coworker. I will literally see, it might not happen exactly like that, but it's amazing how often it does, because I've set the tone, right? I've set the intention, and I think that's really important, because that's one of the things you talk about is intention as well, how important it is to set an intention. So talk about that a little bit. Reveal and live our intentions, you say.
Yes, that was I think the last of the 7 points, and it's for when I was after losing the weight, I had to actually reveal myself, reintroduce myself to the world, because I was literally unrecognizable from the people that I worked with and that I knew. So it was fun and quite the experience to actually reveal my new self. But prior to, let's say your goal is something different, then I would say, if you're going to do something, it might be, if you're going to climb a mountain, if you're going to walk the Appalachian Trail, whatever it might be, start a blog about the subject of what this reinvented chapter in your life is going to be. Tell the world you're going to do it. Tell them about what you're going to do, because it puts you on the spot. It puts you out there to back up what you feel like you want to do. So that is the other part, is if it's a goal that you can tell the world about and ahead of time, that just pulls you right into it.
It helps you to stay accountable, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Now that you said it, put it out there, then it's really going to be important for you to
give yourself a title and then live up to it.
Right. So sometimes I think people do this. I might have done it myself. You can sort of self-sabotage yourself, or people can be sort of afraid of success. As odd as that sounds, have you encountered that sort of thing? Or what should people do if they find themselves sort of derailing from the steady course they were making? What can we do?
Well, it does go back to attitude. And I saw a meme on Facebook the other day, and we've all heard of is your glass half full or is your glass half empty? And I've always reminded myself that my glass is half full. Well, what I saw the other day said, no, even that's not right. Remind yourself that the glass is refillable. And I thought, that's way better. I never thought of that one. It would have never occurred to me. So self-sabotaging people, I think, do see that glass as half empty. And they do see their shortcomings, what they didn't do. And it's important to bring yourself back, not just to remind yourself of the things that you did and that you can do and the progress you've made, but that you can add to that refillable glass. And even if you spill, or fall along the way, you can refill that glass. And I
Back
think
up.
it's just mental attitude. It goes right
Yeah.
back to. Yeah.
Yeah. I just keep
We
coming
all do
back to
it.
that. Keep coming back to that, even if we get off course.
Yeah.
Talk about what you call the 2,000 calorie a day myth. What's that?
Yes, yes. Did we not, for our whole lives, hear about 2,000 calories a day? Everybody has to have 2,000 calories a day.
Right, right.
And that's women across the board. I don't care who you are, it's 2,000 calories a day. Men, it's 2,500, I think it is. But usually you just hear about, that's a broad statement. And I have a formula in my book, and I can't quote the formula, but essentially, I'm a 5'2" petite person. 2,000 calories a day is going to get me eventually to 200 pounds. Pretty much 200, 2,000. Right. If I want to weigh 110, I'd probably have to eat 1,100 calories per day.
Right.
I eat about 1,400 calories per day, and I weigh accordingly.
Right.
So, now that formula is not for someone taller than me, as far as the numbers I just gave you. But for me, at my age, my height, and my bone structure, that's what it works for me. So 1,400 calories per day for me is right. When I eat more than that, I'm overeating. It's more than I need. Your level of activity makes a difference in this too.
Right, right.
So, and I'm moderately active. I do walk at least an hour every day and do another half hour of some other kind of exercise. That's quite a bit for a 67-year-old, but it's, you know.
Can I just say you look great for 67?
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful.
So, you know, if I were 40, I could probably eat more calories because our metabolism, as you mentioned earlier, slows down.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the 2,000 calorie a day myth. It's just a blanket number, and we really do have to figure out what it really is for us at our age and everything.
So what you're saying is it's not one size fits all, which is
No.
so true with so many things.
Yeah.
So Nutty, what do you mean by going commando in the kitchen? I get the idea of you like, I don't know, with all these fancy knives, and apron, and foods getting cooked all over the kitchen. What does going commando in the kitchen mean?
I turn red because, you know, that phrase going commando is so funny when you think about going commando in other subject matter. If you look it up on Wikipedia and the Urban Dictionary for what it means, but what it really means is part of what my lifestyle in eating is learning to enjoy your food the way it is. And I love to cook, so this is not the easiest thing for me. I love to cook. I love to throw in things, so I like to know what I'm adding on my foods. Condiments is one of the ways you can go commando. Take those condiments out of those foods. A tablespoon of mayonnaise is a killer, and it's unnecessary. It adds no satisfaction, almost no satisfaction. I guess we do like mayo in our BLTs. But actually, I had a BLT tonight without mayo, and doggone it, it's just as good.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's the condiments, it's the extras, it's the in-between snacking. It's taking away all of the extra dressings. Now, when I have a salad dressing, there are people, purists, who will eat a salad without any dressing at all. I can't quite do that. I can, but I don't want to. But I will take salad dressing and cut it right in half with usually just water. It's fine. It still has the same flavor. It's runnier. You put it on there, and then you toss.
Right.
So that you don't have to get these big, thick clumps of dressing.
Right.
And eating your fruit just as it is. Taking a piece of fruit and eating it just as the piece of fruit is. It's delicious and it's wonderful. That's going commando in the kitchen.
Right.
Keeping it simple.
So, and taking some discipline to do that, because I know I probably, you know, you've got this healthy salad, you're right, but by the time you put 3 tablespoons of salad dressing on it, you know.
Yeah.
So you talk about something that might be a little challenging, is delayed gratification.
You know, yes, but after you do it a few times, you do that gradually. Now, I like ice cream. Let's not do the ice cream. Well, the thing I do for ice cream, that's I substitute like cottage cheese, and to me that's as good as ice cream. That's not going to work for most people. So
Right, right.
forget I said that. I'll drive past a Mexican restaurant. Taco John's is one that I like. I love that taco with the soft taco and hard shell taco around it, and I love that food. Well, I don't even know what calories are in there, but it can't be good. So instead of stopping and having that, I'll think, I'll have that tomorrow instead. And I'll drive right on by. Now, I've gotten to where I've pushed that, I'll have that next week. And as long as you know you can and you're going to, I think you really should go ahead and do it when you say you're going to do it at a certain time.
Yeah.
So that you know you're not lying to yourself.
Right.
And I've got to push back out to, I'll do that next month. Now, ice cream, what I do now is I love, what is it, Cold Stone ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I'm going to have that before the summer's over. And I said that back in May. So.
And you haven't done it yet.
No, and I have it to look forward to. My husband and I almost did it one night last week. I mentioned it, and he's the one that said, no, not tonight. So, okay. But before the summer's over, we'll do it. And then the other thing is we will do it, but we will split one.
I was going to say that because I know one thing you talk about is like with entrees or whatever, splitting it with someone.
Yes. Yeah, and we're going on vacation in about a week, and when we do that, we will be splitting our entrees because we'll be eating out a lot more, and we will be splitting our entrees. I also will, instead of ordering a full meal, which I never finish anyway, I'll order off the appetizer menu. Usually there's something real cool in there that is smaller portioned, and I can have.
So what do you mean by eating water-rich foods?
That's back to, and drinking, it fits in with drinking lots of water. But it is the fruits, the vegetables. Watermelon is a wonderful snack food.
I eat a lot of watermelon.
Yeah, and it's water rich. It's just so good. And that and drinking a lot of water really brings it. It hydrates your body. It helps you feel more full, and it helps you be more satisfied without eating fat-rich, sugar-rich foods.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I know you also talk about reading labels.
Yeah, learn to read labels.
Well, the operative word is learn, right? Because sometimes I look at the labels and I'm like, I have no idea what that means, and I think that's because they trick you by what they call the different things.
Yeah.
18 things mean sugar, but they call it different things, you know.
Yeah, that and portion size, and they'll say, well, they'll put the calorie. Here's one. They'll put the calories on there, and they'll say calories 110 per serving. Calories in this container 2. All right. Instead, you think you're drinking 110 calories, which to me is a lot. I just wouldn't do it anyway.
Right.
But you think you're drinking 110. You're actually getting 220 calories in that can of soda.
Right.
To me, sodas are empty calories. It's just absolutely empty. I happen to like diet sodas. Now, there's a whole case there now, and in my book, Thinking Skinny, I talk a lot about diet sodas, and I did that while I was losing weight. Now that I'm focusing more on just getting healthier, I'm phasing out those diet sodas for a whole nother stack of reasons, and you've heard all those.
Right, right.
And that's a whole different story. But yeah, you have to read those labels. You have to know what's in these products, and just try to judge accordingly. And here's another empty: alcohol. Wine
I was going to say, you say alcohol. I don't drink, so it's not going to be an issue with me, but there might be other people that are like...
It is for people. And I say, I'm sorry, what would you rather do? Drink those empty calories or not have those empty calories in your body. First of all, you drink those empty calories, you're going to say something stupid.
That's right,
anyway. That's right. I could forego saying something stupid and end up looking better in the long run and feeling better.
Yeah, I drink I like to get it's carbonated water, but it's in different flavors. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, those are
like
fun.
orange and tangerine, and then sometimes what I'll do is because I like orange juice. Although, I know that orange juice has a lot of sugar in it. But what I'll do sometimes is I'll mix it, so I'm not just drinking a big
Yeah,
glass of orange juice, but I've got the seltzer in it, so I've got the sort of the fizz of it, and I like the orange juice, and
and
so
lots of ice cubes, and
yeah,
you cut the, yes, that's a fantastic thing to do. I do things like that too. Yes,
yeah. There's
fruit
all
juices
kinds of
and
little
water.
tricks that you can do.
Yeah.
So you say kind of give up the butter and use the margarine. I can't. I mean, I guess I should be able to tell the difference. I really can't. I guess some people can, but
Butter and margarine are the same, really. They're both fats. So I usually I have butter in the house. I don't have margarine in the house anymore. There's some talk about margarine and things, but I just cut back on it. Sweet corn. It's the time of year for sweet corn. I consider sweet corn a delivery system for butter.
right.
Yeah, and I've learned to enjoy my sweet corn without the butter. Now, if it's young and it's tender and it's not overcooked, you don't even need the butter on it. It is fantastic. Try it sometime. That's going commando in the kitchen too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, because I do. It's same thing with salt is not particularly good for our health because we have salt on everything. And
Yeah,
I mean,
I like
just
salt.
recently I found myself just out of curiosity just looking on packages, and I'm completely just amazed. Because sometimes if I'm in a rush at work, I'll say, oh, I'll just eat a can of soup. That's pretty healthy to eat.
There's a lot
But
of sodium, sure.
The amount of sodium in a can of soup is just mind-boggling, and they put it in everything. So I don't find a need to put it on anything. The only thing I ever put it on is hard-boiled eggs and corn on the cob.
Sure.
Those are things I'm kind of like really used to having.
Hard-boiled eggs is a good snack food that's low in calorie, high in protein. Quinoa is another one that's reasonably low in calorie for the filler that it gives you, and it is as good as rice in my book.
So
and
you
high
said
in protein.
you like being in the kitchen and you like cooking. Do you have a favorite dessert or two? Because dessert is my weakness. A favorite healthy dessert that you make or you recommend people try?
I'd have to take a quick look and see. It's been a while. I've kind of cut back on desserts. I'm looking to see. No, usually it's just fruit and different things. Oh, yeah, here it is. I knew there was something. Strawberries balsamico. If you take plain strawberries or any kind of fruit and slice them up, maybe sprinkle a little bit of water on them so that they start letting loose of some of their own juices, and put a splash of balsamic vinegar on that. And it sounds strange. Yeah, no, a little goes a long way. So I'm saying a teaspoon, like on a bowl of strawberries, and let that work itself together. And then maybe if it needs any sweetener, just a little sprinkling pinch of sugar, and you've got a great dessert.
I would never think of that.
It brings out the flavor of the fruit as long as you don't put too much on. So start with less rather than more.
It's amazing how, particularly if like right now I'm in a really good stretch of no sugar. I haven't had sugar for quite a while, so I'm very, very proud of myself. And the longer I don't eat white sugar, when I do eat fresh fruit, it just tastes so sweet. So like I have a watermelon in it because I could eat like a whole watermelon. So I love where you can take the fresh fruit and I'll just make a smoothie out of it.
Yes, I love my smoothies. And you can do smoothies with, I like to make smoothies with, I take a little almond milk, fresh fruit, and then I do throw in, even if there's, I don't always do banana, apple I do more often, and a little apple, and if it's a green Granny Smith apple in there, and I'll throw in a handful of kale, even because the apple will still bring out the sweetener. You're still getting sweetness, you're still getting all of the goodness in there, and you blend that up, and yay, that's good.
And do you have a big garden at your house? Do you have a garden at your house?
I do.
I think on Facebook I see these amazing, beautiful vegetables. I want to climb right through the screen and come have dinner at your house. I mean,
I just learned you can eat broccoli leaves. Who even knew broccoli had leaves if you buy it in the store? didn't even realize that. So, I'm learning something every year. And we didn't grow broccoli on the farm when I was growing up. It's not really a Minnesota type vegetable, but you can eat the leaves. You can turn them into like kale chips. You can put them in soups. Yay.
I love
Good.
kale chips. Kale chips are so good. It takes a while to wash them, break them up, cook them, and then it seems like 2 seconds to eat them all because it's so easy and fast to eat all the kale chips.
It takes 6 or 8 hours to process them. I use a dehydrator. Sure.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Nadia, this has been delightful.
It's been fun for me.
An hour just flies by when you're having these rich.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it's been just wonderful and delightful to have you on the show. If you would once again tell us again about both of your books, tell us how the audience can reach out to you if they'd like to. And I guess if they go to their site, they can figure out how to listen to your radio show and watch your TV show, I would imagine.
Yeah. At wherewomentalk.com, pretty much you'll get to everything that I'm doing. Reinventing New Chapters in Your Life at Any Age is my most recent book. And Thinking Skinny was the first book. And that really talks about step by step how I did it and pretty much how someone can adapt it to their lifestyle.
Right. Good. Well, Nadia, thank you so much. And thank you for being such an inspiration to all of us. Continued success in all of your endeavors. And I trust our paths will cross again as they did before. I thank you again for having me on your radio show. That was a wonderful thing. I truly appreciated it. And I will see you again later. Thank you again.
Thank you, Lynette. I know.
So that's going to wrap it up, everyone out there in TV land. I want to thank you again for joining me on The Positivologist is in the House. I want to remind you it's all about bliss. BLISS. Believe life is something special because it is, and so are you. Take time to walk the landscape of positivity. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Check me out at www.positivebliss.com. You can sign up for my free weekly positivity message because we all need that, don't we? Until next time, I'll see you again right here on The Positivologist is in the House. Many blessings and namaste.
Bye, Lynette.
Bye-bye.